Today we are going to learn what lies beyond the myth of Yamata no Orochi, Susanoo, and everything that related to it. In one such tale from Japan, the storm god Susanoo, recently banished from the celestial realm of Takamagahara, wandered the countryside. As he traveled through Izumo province, he came upon a pair of chopsticks floating down a river. Sensing the presence of people nearby, Susanoo followed the river until he heard the sound of weeping, agonized cries that spoke of deep sorrow. Soon he found an elderly couple, Ashinazuchi and Tenazuchi, clutching their beautiful daughter who was in tears. The storm god approached them and inquired about their grief. The couple explained that their daughter, Kushinada Haime, was to be sacrificed to the fearsome dragon Yamata No Orochi, a creature that stretched over 8 valleys and 8 hills. Its back was covered with a forest of firs and cypresses, and its belly was inflamed and covered in blood. The beast had 8 ferocious heads with fiery red eyes and an enormous tail that lashed out with deadly speed. Every year, the dragon devoured one of her daughters, leaving only Kushinada Haime as the last to be sacrificed. Moved by her tragic story, enchanted by the young woman's beauty, and eager to prove himself, Susanoo promised the couple that he would defeat the dragon in exchange for Kushinada Haime's hand in marriage. The couple agreed, and Susanoo devised a cunning plan. First, he turned Kushinada Haime into a comb and placed it in his hair to keep it safe. Then he instructed the couple to brew 8 barrels of strong, refined sake, which he placed behind a great fence with 8 gates. As the earth began to tremble and the air filled with the scent of blood and cedar, the dragon approached, lured by the irresistible smell of the sake Yamata. No Orochi pushed each of its 8 heads through the gates and drank deeply from the vats. Soon the dragon became sluggish, his body relaxed, and his eyes heavy from the effects of the strong rice wine. Seizing the moment, Susanoo drew his sword and swiftly attacked, slicing through the dragon's 8 heads and tearing its body into pieces. As Susanoo hacked at one of the dragon's tails, his sword struck something hard, shattering the blade. Inside the serpent's body, he discovered a magnificent sword. Recognizing its power, Susanoo presented this sword, called Kusanagi no Tsurugi, to his sister Amaterasu, the sun goddess and ruler of the heavens. This blade became one of the 3 great imperial treasures of Japan. After defeating Yamata no Orochi, Susanoo built a grand palace for himself and his new wife in Izumo, a land protected by clouds of abundance. Looking up to the sky, Susanoo declared that he would build a sanctuary for his beloved, a place where she would always be safe, just as the land of Izumo was protected by its ever-present clouds. Susanoo eventually offered Kusanagi no Tsurugi as a gift to his sister Amaterasu and was allowed to return to heaven. The sword was passed down through the generations in the imperial line of Japan. It is one of the 3 pieces of imperial regalia, along with the mirror Yata no Kagami and the jewel Yasakani no Magatama. Today, the sword, which came from Yamata no Orochi's tail, is said to be safeguarded in the Atsuta Shrine in Nagoya. No one currently knows if the sword of Kusanagi really exists. Today, the sword of Kusanagi is kept at Atsuta Shrine. Here, the sword of Kusanagi is stored in a locked box and is never taken out of the box when used as a ceremonial tool. People have seen the contents of this recently in the Edo period, and there are records of this. They described their condition, but were subsequently reportedly convicted of serious crimes and sent to a distant island or died of illness. This gave rise to the legend that bad luck would befall those who saw the sword of Kusanagi, and no one could see it afterwards. So is Yamata no Orochi a god? Yamata no Orochi can be regarded as a deity that personified the river, Because monsters in world myths are often described as symbols of natural wonders that human beings cannot control. Maidens that were eaten by Yamata no Orochi every year were offered as sacrifices to a god to suppress the river flooding. Now, on to a more historical analogy interpretation I've got. 1. The Orochi was in fact a series of rivers. Rivers could be large and branching, and when viewed from afar with some imagination, could be considered like a giant multi-headed snake. 2. During a flood season, rivers could easily overflow and destroy property, like a snake would consume prey. Primitive people of all ancient civilizations had mythology involving battling against great flooding. 3. The use of human sacrifices to appease the gods was again a recurring myth of many civilizations. 4. The Kusanagi would be a metaphor of metallurgy. Ancient people might have mined iron from the river. Eventually, the people developed blacksmith. Thanks for joining us on this mythological journey. If you enjoyed diving into these ancient tales and unraveling the legends of gods and heroes, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until then, keep exploring the myths that shape our world.